So we have a deeply traumatised dog here, for obvious reasons, if you've seen the Happiness Patrol Part 3. And genuinely, I feel that the Happiness Patrol is a bit of a sleeper classic, as far as I'm concerned. So back in episode 1, I talked about the theatricality of this and the it's like a play for TV, play for today. That's what they were called in the 60s, weren't they? Not apart from Cathy Come Home's the only one I'm aware of. But I think that sort of manner of storytelling with the columns and the bit with the microphone and the singing and the theatricality of it, I think all that comes to the fore. I like that. Now, what's the word for it? The diegetic, when the music that's in the narrative becomes part of the background. You know, I know that I felt, Lib, you weren't as fussed by the harmonica playing.
Oh my God, kill me now.
Right, okay. Well, I'm a big fan of the harmonica, so I like all that, and I like the way that was.
I like a harmonica. I don't like jazzy harmonica like that.
It's somewhat more bluesy than jazzy, I would argue.
Whatever, you know what I mean.
Okay. Okay. As your friend of mine, Seed Hill Bruiser Music, has stated, this is a story that's angry, and I think that it does, because the heart of it is angry, as you've said, my friend. That sort of validates is the wrong word, isn't it? But it kind of makes all the absurdity, that's the word I want, absurdity, it sort of validates it. Not that I feel, well, no, I do, because silly for silly sakes, I do like silly for silly's sake. But I think in the context of Doctor Who, you need some background. But my goodness, that bit at the end with McCoy and Sheila Hancock and their little face-off is off the chain, really, isn't it? Because McCoy's brilliant. I mean, any doubt, if you had any doubt, then you're not watching, genuinely. Have I told the story about Jack? If I've not told the story about Jack, I'll tell it now, but if I have, just skip forward 20 seconds. Kid at school, his name was Jack, lovely kid, very smart, like one of the smartest kids I've ever had the pleasure of working with. As so many smart kids at my place like to do, I become the butt of the joke for them because it's safe to do that, and I presume it's quite fun to have a grown up in your life who takes it. And he just used to mercilessly rag on McCoy, and that's fine. But in this context, he might have been smarter. He certainly, if he wasn't smarter than me then, he's certainly smarter than me in the few years since I've seen him. But he's bang wrong about McCoy, because McCoy is, well, we should discuss what McCoy is at the end of McCoy's run, but there we go. But that little face-off. And of course you get Sheila Hancock. Now, it is up to the viewer to decide just how much she's channeling Margaret Thatcher here. Lib, did you get a sense of Thatcherism in this?
Yes, and I was going to mention it because it feels like a bit of a theme for the night, given that we watched Gillian Anderson earlier.
Oh, yes, we did see Gillian
and
Anderson.
I'm starting to think that you've got a bit of a thing for Margaret Thatcher.
For the Thatch?
Yeah.
I think it's easy to forget, that's the wrong word. If you weren't there, it's a bit like Vietnam, but not. If you weren't there, you don't know just how ubiquitous Margaret Thatcher was. Now, had she gone by this point? No, she was still around by this point. She stuck around to the early 90s. But Thatcher was, for certainly my generation, and I don't know, I might ask my mum tomorrow, because I can see my mum tomorrow. But she was she was, I was going to say bigger than Jesus, to misquote John Lennon. It's not very helpful, is it? But, maybe as a naive kid I wouldn't have got it, but Hancock is so good. And some of the stuff that she comes out at the end there is very, very Tory. Now, if you haven't picked up, you do you, but, I'm very left-wing. I really feel that this sense of empires falling is wishful thinking on the part of the writers and the production crew, presumably. And McCoy and Aldrin, I think they've explicitly stated they wanted to bring down the government with Doctor Who. And fair play to them, why not? I also want to touch upon the fact that a really interesting thing occurred to me in this last episode. Aside from when they're in the pipe with the dog, who isn't Dusty, don't worry, dog, you are safe. And even then, to a certain extent, at no point in this last episode did I think the Doctor was in trouble. Would you agree with that? There was no jeopardy for McCoy at all. Everything seemed planned out, sorted. The joy of this was seeing his plan fall into place, even if it was, to whatever extent it was improvised. Now, that's interesting because obviously, you know, we can talk all day about how this Doctor does things differently, but how is the programme doing things differently? I can't remember a time when, as a viewer, you felt very confident that everything was going to work out for the Doctor from such an early point in the story. So at least, you know, a quarter of the way into this episode, you were confident the Doctor's going to be okay, if not for the whole episode. And that's interesting, because that's a different way of telling these stories. Even Ace wasn't in jeopardy at any point. As soon as they rocked up and the Doctor started maniacally laughing, you knew that she was sorted. She was back with the Doctor. That's interesting. And of course, you know, bodes, you know, I think forward to Curse of Fenric and things like that, but we shouldn't talk about that yet because it hasn't happened yet, and therefore we don't talk about it. Genuinely, again, I've said this all along, this is a tough era for me to talk about critically because it's my era of Doctor Who. I absolutely adore this era of Doctor Who. I've seen these stories in their entirety many a time. But I feel maybe Happiness Patrol is the litmus test, because if you don't get on board with this, maybe some aspects of this era aren't going to fit well with you. I think some people think the Candyman is silly, too silly. You think it's to be? You said you found it disturbing.
Yeah, because it's just ridiculous.
But it's too silly. But how do those things
Silly
quite?
as in just ridiculous.
But it's icky, don't you?
Icky as well.
Yeah. Fifi, good effect.
Fuck off.
What?
Fifi.
What?
Who ever thought of putting Fifi in there, like, as a concept?
It's brilliant.
To be shot, and then who actually saw the prop and went, yes, that looks great.
Can you? All right. Did you like that?
It with Hack of the Dog playing it.
Hack of the Dog.
Real
Jesus
dogs to
Christ.
real people.
It's real puppets. Did you like this story?
No.
Really?
It was stupid.
No.
Pointless.
Oh, Lib, seriously.
FRIRL
I'm shocked. I thought you enjoyed that.
You shook.
I've shooketh. Did you really not enjoy it?
100% accurate.
My wife's the cleverest person I know, and she was wrong. There we go. My God. Shocking. Oh, well. C'est la vie. Really? You're not just showing off?
I'm not just showing off, I did enjoy it. I can see how it was a bit more artistic than
It's amazing.
some episodes.
So good.
But overall, I would say I wouldn't watch that on again. Or I actually probably would watch it again.
So good.
Because our children would probably like it.
So amazing.
It's fucking ridiculous.
Oh, so good. And when Gilbert M and Joseph C are in the rocket together at the end, it's really funny.
They're ridiculous.
It's brilliant. Genuinely, my gosh, what an era of Doctor Who this is. Farewell.